This problem starts us with an equation up here, and it's asking us to find the derivative of that equation. So we have f of x equals, and as you write this down or read through it, make sure you listen to what you're saying. It'll help you identify what your primary derivative rule is. So as we read this, I say f of x equals x minus 2 times x squared plus 3 to the fourth. So as we look down at this problem, we need to sort of identify what I refer to as the primary rule, the main rule that you're going to start following. And so as you look at it, I always tell people to kind of look at the shape, right? When I look down at the page, I see that what I'm looking at first and foremost is two chunks being multiplied. And so that's the primary rule. Primarily, these are two things being multiplied right now. And so when I see that, that tells me that I need to apply the product rule. And so every person kind of has their own little sayings for these. You know, you have to have something though. And my saying that I use is fg prime plus gf prime. I label one of my chunks the f piece, the other chunk the g piece, and then I go find those individual derivatives. So looking at this problem here, that chunk is going to be my f, and that chunk is going to be my g. So I kind of break them out into little bite-sized math problems. So f is x minus 2. G is x squared plus 3 to the fourth. And then I come through and I need to now go find an f prime and I need to go find my g prime, the derivatives of those pieces. So now I'm able to look at them as smaller little bite-sized math problems. When I look at f here, this is just going to be our power rule, our standard power rule that we use on very straightforward derivatives. So the power rule saying that I use for taking derivatives is step 1, bring the power down. And then step 2, subtract 1 from the power. So as we look at this, we've got this unwritten 1 on that x right there. We're going to bring that power down in front. And then when we subtract 1 from the power, we're going to end up with x to the 0. And so remember, anything to the 0 power, no matter what it is always 1. So we end up with 1 times 1, so we'll just leave it as 1. And then the derivative of negative 2, the derivative of a constant is always 0. So our f prime is equal to 1. Now when I come over and look at my g prime, to do my g, I look at g and I say to myself, that is definitely something more than just a straight up power rule. And so as I go through my options, a standard chain rule problem sort of looks like this. You've got something inside a set of parentheses raised to a power. And so that right there tells me that what I'm looking for on this problem is a chain rule. So again, everybody's got their own sayings. My saying for the chain rule is d in times d out. So I call it the derivative of the inside piece, whatever was inside those parentheses, times the derivative of the out, which is really just going to be a big power rule. So as I go back and look at g, this right here is what I call my inside piece. That piece is inside the fourth power there, inside my parentheses. So when I come to find my d in right now, I'm looking at x squared plus 3. So the derivative of x squared plus 3, again, following the power rule, bring the power down, subtract 1 from the power, leaves me with x to the first, and then the derivative of a constant always goes away. So I put that in as a part of my recipe. So there's my d in. And as I come to do the derivative of the outside, again, this is just a giant power rule here. You're going to bring that 4 down in front. You leave alone all the stuff you already took the derivative of, and then you're going to subtract 1 from the power. So that 4 becomes a 3 right there. Now I have what I call my ingredients. So I've got all the ingredients I need to follow my product rule, which was my primary rule. So putting together my derivative now, my f prime of x, following my product rule, it says first go grab f. Cool, I go grab f, x minus 2. Then it wants me to multiply that by g prime. So I come back in and I multiply it by my g prime. 2x times 4 and then x squared plus 3 to the third. And now I've got a plus sign from my rule. Then go grab the g piece. So I go grab my g piece here, x squared plus 3 to the fourth. And then I multiply that by my f prime, which is just going to be 1. That is your derivative. Now, from there, you've got to kind of put it together following, their simplification. And oftentimes, you got to look at their answers to see what they want a little bit. It's not always, there's no one way to simplify something. And so, as I look up at all my answers up here, it really is like, okay, they want me to kind of factor out or pull out this x squared plus 3 as best as I can. And so that leads me down here, and I say, okay, well, from this front chunk, I've got x squared plus 3 to the third, and in the back chunk here, I've got x squared plus 3 to the fourth. That means I can pull out of each one of those an x squared plus 3. So from there, pulling that out, I get x squared plus 3 to the third. I can pull that out. That's going to leave me with all of this stuff right there still inside. So I've got x minus 2. I've got 2x times 4. We might as well just rewrite that as 8x down below. And then I pulled out all 3 of those, so those are now gone. And then at the back side here, I pulled out 3 from there, but I've still got 1 left, so that's going to leave me with x squared plus 3, and then times 1 I don't really need. From there, I've got my x squared plus 3 sitting out front that I was looking for. And again, I sort of look at my answers and I can tell the next move they want me to do is really simplify down this inside piece as best I can. So the only real option you have is to start by distributing that 8x into everybody. So on the next line, this x squared plus 3 to the third stays out front there. We multiply the 8x in. 8x times x would get us 8x squared. 8x times negative 2 is going to get us negative 16x. And then at the back end here, this stuff is all just being added. So there's nothing being multiplied by it. If there was, we would distribute it, but there's not. So we'll just drop those parentheses. And now we look to combine our like terms. So final move here, and we should be done, hopefully, when we go to look for our answer. So x squared plus 3 to the third. Then I've got a positive 8x squared. Positive x squared is going to get me 9x squared, negative 16x, and then a plus 3 at the end. And so that hopefully should be what my final answer looks like as far as the AP people are concerned. And sure enough, I can see that that answer is right there. That is answer C. So again, identify your primary rule, break it into its bite-sized chunks, and then from there, attack those little smaller derivatives. Bring it all back together and then simplify it to sort of match up with what their answer looks like. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, please click that like button and subscribe. And also share it with your friends and anyone else you know who might be crying about an upcoming AP Calc test. You can find more videos from me, more sample AP Calc questions, and my complete AP Calc study guide over at my website, apcalcprep.com. Have a great one.